Yes, World War II. A very trying time for the world, but an innovative one nonetheless. Ever since World War II, lots of technologies have been developed, in the military and beyond. But let's look back to the past for a bit. Alright, back then, there were only 2 theaters in which the Allies and Axis tussled in. And in those theaters, there was one thing both sides wanted to dominate: the sky.
If either one of the sides controlled the sky, they basically controlled the tide of the whole war. But you may be asking, how does one obtain domination over the sky? Well, viewer, you've come to the right place indeed.
We're here to tell you just how complex some of the fighter planes were in the past. So without further ado, let's start!
Woohoo!
As a wise man once said, in order for one to own the sky, they must first get into the sky. But that's not the only problem. Aviation in World War II was constantly evolving, mainly because aerial battles, also known as dogfights, tended to get really intense. So how do you compete with your enemy's insane air force when your planes are just less superior in general? This is exactly the type of question the British Royal Air Force tried to figure out for themselves. You see, early in the war, the Germans for some reason had gotten really good at making new technology to kick the Allies' push-pushes back to their cradles. And one plane in particular was doing an excellent job at just that.
The Bf-109 was a single-seating yet high-performance German aircraft. Since Germany had to start its aviation industry from scrap, its engine was only 210 horsepower, so it could only reach a speed of 170 knots, or 196 miles per hour. Hello, special guest, live-action Buck here. For a time, these planes ruled the skies, racing up skills against many planes on the Allied forces' side. So Britain sent out a call to his own people. He was asking for models for new planes to counter the Germans. A British designer made a design that stood out in particular. It was called the Spitfire. It was a single-seated fighter aircraft. But the special thing was how fast it could go. The live-action Buck, out.
These bad boys were equipped with a Rolls-Royce PV-12 engine, and they could pack a punch. A British Spitfire could accelerate up to 260 miles per hour, much more effective than those German hunks of metal, and were super effective in higher altitudes. So when the Spitfire came to the European theater, they sent Germany packing. I'm telling you, it was the bane of their existence. Not only could the British outmaneuver the Nazis, they were on those guys faster than you could say tea and crumpets. Now, all of a sudden, the Allies were sending the Germans back to their mommies in tears.
Whoa. Let's step back from the European theater for a bit, bro. We can't forget about the good old Pacific War, too.
Right, America exists.
Back near the home front, the USA was kinda busy fighting off their unsavory next-door neighbors, aka Japan. Now, Japan had this really good aircraft called the Mitsubishi A6M0, which brought hell to the American Air Force. And there's a reason for that, too. The Zero could reach a top speed of over 350 miles per hour, blowing past the Spitfire by miles. Be glad it stayed in the Pacific Theater, kids. It was a long-range fighter with a horsepower of 1,130, and insanely effective in higher altitude. It was considered the best dogfighter in the Pacific Rim. These planes were great for everything too, such as bomber escorts, dogfights, and even kamikazes. A whopping 10,939 Zeros were produced over the span of World War II. But there was an American plane that could rival this new force.
Introducing the new and improved P-51 Mustang. This single-seating fighter was originally designed to be for the British Royal Air Force, but it was later adopted by us Americans after seeing what's worth. It was considered the finest all-around piston-engine fighter in World War II, and it rivaled that of the Mitsubishi. The P-51 excelled in speed and firepower, whilst the Zero had excellent maneuverability and was agile in the air. And while the Mitsubishi did have its noticeable pros, the Mustang was able to catch up with Japanese airmen quite easily, since its
top speed reached up to 437 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, that's faster than a bullet train. Suddenly, it was the Americans being held to the Japanese.
Tensions in the Pacific continue to rise, especially as Japan started to pull a Roman move on the US and aggressively expand their borders. But let's take a look back west to our Allied friends. As Britain and China were busy keeping Nazi Germany at bay, the Soviets were developing their own secret weapon. Lo and behold, the Yakovlev. Yak-3 was just what they needed. This single-engined, single-seater fighter was designed with slanted wings for better handling performance in short fields. It was widely known for its maneuverability and performance, and was considered the best Soviet fighter in the European theater, being able to absolutely shred German 109s, leading to the Yak-3 being considered a serious threat. Now all of a sudden, Germany had found itself in a massive takedown. They were getting desperate.
But being the innovative bunch they were, the Germans said, "Hold my beer and watch this," then proceeded to make, once again, an aerial comeback. Whoa! Armin, didn't Germany have to go through an economic collapse along with fighting a war on two fronts, though? And to that, I'd say, yes. And didn't they have to deal with a bunch of rebellions along with the unease in the German people? And to that, I'd say, also, yes. So how can they ever make a comeback? I don't know. Stop asking me the hard questions, Maurice. Bro, isn't it your job to know this stuff? You see, while the Soviet Union was busy making new things to make the Axis lives even more miserable, Germany was doing their own mischievous plans. Introducing the Focke-Wulf FW-190. These beasts were able to go toe-to-toe with Yakovlevs because of its high performance at lower altitudes, just like the Yak. Being equipped with two 20mm cannons, it was known for its high durability, being able to sustain heavy hits most other planes couldn't and still fly relatively well. So when the FW was first introduced back in 1941, it was a really big shock to the Allies.
The B-52 World War II era bomber. This plane was, and still is, very special. Some of these bad boys even had glass noses so that bombers could see around. B-52s were used for a lot of invasions, so a lot of them got destroyed in the process. A total of 15? No! The people in those planes died! Except for the great Nicholas. He survived? He fell 3 miles! And even without a parachute! Anyway, he did become a minor celebrity after that. Yes, he definitely deserves more for free-falling 3 miles and not breaking anything. Anyway, time to wrap up. But you may be asking, I just forgot the line. But you may be asking, how does one I messed that up again. But you may be asking, how does one obtain domination over the sky? I just messed that up again. Jesus Christ. The BF-109 was a single-seating yet high-performance. The BF-109 was a single-seating yet high-performance. Alright.
These bad boys were equipped with a wool's voice. This is exactly the type of question the British Royal Air Force, equipped with two 20mm cannons. These planes were known for their high durability. Oh, that's a typo. Who wrote this script?